What faction should I do next? Well, Lanky said he wins, so he wins. Here we go. Carthage. Carthage is an interesting one. They start the game in 270 BC, at arguably the height of their power, just before the start of the First Punic War. Some may argue that their height was actually when they were conquering in Spain, and during Hannibal's invasion into Italy. It is actually at about this date, 264 BC, when the First Punic War kicks off, that things start to go downhill for Carthage. Carthage is the Seleucid Empire of the West, large and quite strong, but destined to fail in every single campaign. And the game represents that really well. You can even feel Carthage's coming demise in the faction intro. The narrator starts off with a vision, and it's about the fall of Carthage.
Last night, the crying of the children kept me awake, and I had a terrible vision. I saw the fall of our city, bleached bones under a harsh sun. Carthage, gone.
It's the fear in his voice and the talk about dying children, the fall of his great city. It makes it arguably one of the most terrifying faction intros out there, as any player who knows about this history knows everything it says is about to come true. Welcome to Total War Profiled, a series which looks into the historical accuracy behind Total War factions. If you have not guessed, today is Carthage, and it's one I'm really excited to look into. First, we will look into the map. Then, we'll analyse the units available to the faction. Finally, we will delve into the accuracy behind the family tree of Carthage. I was also wanting to look into the accuracy behind historical battles, but decided that they deserve their own video. What do people think? Now this is the historical map, compared with the in-game map at 270 BC. The game's settlements are very accurate compared to other factions we have seen. As a historian, I would prefer to see them have more territory across the North African coast, and have the borders of settlements better reflect the shape of Carthage. But it's not bad. The islands are accurate, and so is the general layout of their control. Overall, quite a good map. The unit roster of Carthage. Firstly, they have the Sacred Band, which was a phalanx unit of Carthaginians, exactly as it appears in-game. This unit is not to be confused with the Sacred Band of Thebes, though. The Thebes in Greece, not the Thebes in Egypt. Are you following this? That's the Sacred Band that Philip II and Alexander the Great destroyed. Completely different thing. Generally speaking, the Carthaginian Sacred Band was destroyed multiple times in battle and was not recorded at all by the start date 270 BC. It was mostly out of their system by then. But I like that the unit is here, and it is accurate in appearance but not for the time. Although that mounted Sacred Band is, I think, very inaccurate. I couldn't find anything about them being on cavalry. The Iberian infantry and the Balearic slingers were hired from Iberia. The large amount of mercenaries in the region around Carthage and the units across the empire, they just got units from everywhere, like Libyan units, Iberian units. They just got them from everywhere. Generally speaking, Carthaginians did not fight that often, except as part of the Sacred Band or as generals. So overall, I'd say the unit roster is very accurate. Troops from everywhere and mostly mercenaries, or at least, even if they're recruitable units, they're technically more like mercenaries because they're region specific. Lastly, we have the elephants. These elephants in game are larger than the ones Hannibal used to cross the Alps, but then again the developers copy and pasted the unit over from other factions to save time and resources. Overall, the elephants are not too bad, I'm just happy they're there. And that's what I could say about the entire unit roster really. It's kind of accurate, it's not perfect, but it's accurate enough, I'm happy with it. Now, as for the main family of Carthage, It is a weird one, as Carthage was a republic by this point, yet it's governed like a monarchy like all the other factions. Due to limitations of the engine build at the time, this was the best the devs had. They couldn't actually put an election system without splitting it up the way how they did with the Roman Empire, which if they did that to Carthage that would just be horrible. The in-game leader is Hanno the Great, a second one. They have 3 Hanno the Greats, and 1 Hanno the Navigator, and like another 30 Hannos of important significance at the time. It gets really confusing. I think I've mostly figured out which Hanno it was referring to. However, it makes so little sense to actually choose this Hanno. Hanno was against the war with the Romans and argued politically for peace. Once in power, he disbanded the Carthaginian navy, which gave Rome time to rebuild its fleet and then win the war. He did not pay mercenaries at one point. They revolted, he went into battle against them, and then lost. Even in the Second Punic War involving Hannibal in Italy, Hanno was against and is believed to be the one responsible for Hannibal not getting the required reinforcements to bring down Rome. Meanwhile, Carthage had Hannibal Barca, who led the armies in Sicily. This man was very active in Sicily and saw great success despite eventually losing. After the war, he expanded Carthage's land in Iberia, saving the nation economically in my opinion. He dealt with the mercenaries and he also gave birth to Hannibal. Well, sorry, script issue there. He did not actually give birth, but he was the father of Hannibal. Issue is, Hamilcar was only 5 years old at the time, but other factions have their general spawn date shifted for a more accurate or interesting campaign, so why not Carthage by about 10 years? Overall, I'm angry. Overall, I don't get annoyed about games and historical accuracy, but Hanno certainly should not have been there. On top of that, there is no reference at all to Hamilcar. Just put Hamilcar in there instead. I know it's out of date, but it would make everyone so much happier. And then Hannibal in there as well. Again, the dates would not co-align, but you mess up every other faction, so why not Carthage? Okay, the devs may have saved themselves though. Hanno, from my description, may have sounded a bit like a traitor. Maybe even a spy for the Romans. Whether he was or doesn't matter, it sounds like it in a way from, at least the way how I described him. In-game, he has the trait Spy Master. Now I don't know, but there is a chance that the devs may have thought the same way, that he was working for the Romans secretly, and they might have given him that as a minor reference to how terrible he actually was at bringing down the Romans, and that his actions actually helped the Romans win both wars. Could be interesting if that's what they did. However, Hanno's son in the game is called Hasdrubal, and he is faction heir. Hasdrubal, the fair son of Hamilcar, will go on to govern Carthage. Now, this is still 100 years later, but they've still got a Hasdrubal as the heir, which I believe this character is based off Hasdrubal, the son of Hamilcar. But still, why is there no Hamilcar? Like, from the rest of my research, all other family members are fiction. But to be honest, I'm not disappointed here. Firstly, 2 family members based off real history, or inspired by real history. So far this is the best we have come across in Rome Total War. Julii, Seleucid Empire, Parthia, they all had 1 accurate family member. Carthage comes in with 2. Secondly, all the generals have 1 interesting piece of historical context. Their traits. Every general for Carthage starts with either the retinue, merchant, or the trait, trader. This is a reference to the trade power that Carthage held in the Mediterranean going out into the Atlantic. So overall, this actually, despite how annoyed I am with the lack of Hamilcar, this makes them the most accurate faction with their family members. Even though it's not even a monarchy historically, but still it's better than every other faction we've come across so far. In addition to all of this, Carthage has 3 temples, 1 to Tanit and 1 to Baal. who were the main two gods of Carthage. Temple to MELKOR, if I pronounce that right, which provides a trade boost. And that is it for Carthage in Rome Tilt to War. Overall, they have the most accurate family members, however the lack of Hamilkor Barker is sad to see, and the unit roster is very accurate with some additions for gameplay. The map is very accurate with, again, some changes due to gameplay or engine limitations. Overall, I would give Carthage 3.5 stars out of 5, putting them tied with the Seleucid Empire, but not as good as Medieval 2 Tilt to War factions. If they had Hamilkar in there, I'd have definitely given them a 4. Even if he's just starting off as a 5-year-old, which is how old he would have been. Still, 4 stars, I just wanted to see him in some way or another. It would have been nice. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode of Tilt to War Profiled. Now, I know all of these videos so far have been from Medieval 2 Tilt to War and Rome Tilt to War. We're actually going to expand out a little bit this time. Ooh, I know, crazy, ooh. We're going to explore a different Tilt to War title, and I'm not going to reveal which one it is yet or which faction it is, but I'm very excited to do it. So hope to see you in next week's episode of Tilt to War Profiled, and the week after that, I think it might be Bronze Age Egypt. I think it's time. The week after that, what date will that be? That will be on the 19th of October. I think that will be Bronze Age Egypt. Maybe, I'm unsure. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this one, and goodbye.